You ever wanted to know what's going on in and around your community? CommunityTV1.com is your answer. Go ahead, log on to www.communitytv1.com and get your info on.
Crystal Joy Sound System Rentals and Professional Recording Studio is at your service. In association with Community TV One, the only community-based multimedia studio. Crystal Joy offers professional subs, main tops, monitors, power amps, professional mics, and a full soundproof multi-room studio specializing in Christian singers, groups, and bands. If you are talented and think you've got what it takes, we're looking for you to join our record label, Crystal Joy Records. For more information, contact 239-771-2560.
The City of Fort Myers has supported new and early-stage businesses by providing a location and technical assistance to new business owners. Tenants also have access to free business consulting, professional receptionist office, free Wi-Fi, 2 conference rooms, a large training room, copier and fax. Many new businesses now operating successfully have had their start at the Enterprise Center. If you have a business idea you would like to pursue, call Tom Scott at 239-321-7085 and come join us.
So if you want us to make it through this little dry season that we're having right now, I suggest you let me be the man that I am and handle this situation. Oh, and yes, we are going to my mother's for Christmas. Case closed.
That, my brothers and sisters, is how you keep Christmas.
And welcome to another edition of Politico here on CTV1. I am your host along with
Earl Sparrow. What's going on, people?
Earl's
Been a while.
Yeah, Earl Sparrow is back. You all know he deserted us last week because he would rather go hang with his family.
That sweet potato pie,
Kind of selfish to me, but he left us here hanging. Oh, wow. But anyway, his shoes was filled last week, of course, by Miss Avella Claire, and we do thank her for hanging out with us last week. We had a very good discussion. The main topic, of course, last week dealt with the lack of an indictment in Ferguson, Missouri, of Officer Darren Wilson for killing unarmed teenager Michael Brown, who, of course, had a record. And now the information has come out, and we've pretty much decided that the grand jury was correct in what they said.
You?
Well, this afternoon, the grand jury in the Eric Garner case in New York City, and those of you who don't know what that is, Eric Garner, back in July, this was prior to the Michael Brown incident, was videotaped outside of a bodega, that's how they call it, right? In New York City, Staten Island. And he apparently was selling Lucy's, which those
Single
of you who don't know,
cigarettes.
yeah, they're cigarettes that are broken open. No taxes are involved when those cigarettes are sold. Any of you who have ever spent any
Single
time
cigarettes.
in the so-called hood know that those cigarettes, they go for $1 or so. When you don't have the money to get a whole pack, you go buy a Lucy. Okay? So he apparently was seen doing this by the Staten Island Police Department. They approached him with the intention of putting him under arrest. Mr. Garner, who stated that he was constantly being harassed, basically refused. Now, how do we know all this? There is a video of this on the internet. Please, if you get an opportunity, go check it out. It was everywhere prior to the Michael Brown situation, but Michael Brown's situation kind of took that off of the headlines. Well, basically, the officers ended up putting him in a chokehold, which is illegal
chokehold
in New York City. Today, the grand jury returned a no frost, no bill. They will not be indicting the police officer who was involved in that chokehold incident. So the question this evening is, will what happened in Ferguson, Missouri, happen in New York? The mayor, de Blasio, he came out and spoke against it, stating that a black life was just as important as a white life, that the governor of New York had said that he stands with the Garner family. Unlike what we saw in Ferguson, Missouri, whereas the governor was silent other than sending in the National Guard, which he did not utilize the first evening.
Declare a state of emergency a few days before.
Right. A potential. And here was the situation. In this situation, the law enforcement has their fraternal order of police. They've come out and they're behind their brother officer. However, the mayor, de Blasio, who has a African American son and daughter, who is married to a true African American sister. When I say that, I mean she's not light skinned with green eyes. I mean a real sister who speaks her mind. Who got a little bit of trouble last year when he was running for mayor. But de Blasio has come out and he's spoken up. So you have individuals who, in this situation, have taken responsibility versus in Ferguson, they didn't do it so much, and they allowed this to fester. Of course, the Ferguson indictment, a lot of things are different. Tension was allowed to build in that situation as they kept saying that the verdict was coming out and information was constantly leaking about there would be no prosecution of Darren Wilson over at least a month's time. Information was constantly leaking out. They finally said they were going to do it. They kept putting it off and putting it off. Then when they were about to announce it, of course, they announced it 7 hours before they came out after dark to announce that this was going to happen. So tensions were allowed to build in that situation. So I don't believe that we're going to see the same type of situation in Staten Island or New York as we saw in Ferguson, Missouri.
I think the biggest thing that comparing the New York situation to the Michael Brown Ferguson Missouri situation, number one, they were supposed to release the information about the indictment. They waited until I think about 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, much after dark. 9 o'clock actually, their local time.
9 o'clock local time for them. It was 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for us. To announce that, meaning that if they would have did it at noon, that could have gave people the time to do whatever they needed to do or board up or whatever they needed to do as far as that. But putting it out, then, of course, the DA, McCullough, for him to go on this 20-minute rant about this and that and to even slander Mike Brown even some more, to the point where we knew that wasn't going to make the situation any better. We knew that was going to piss off more people.
Right.
That was going to make more people hit the streets saying, I tried my best to represent the people of the state of Missouri, the people of Ferguson, and these people turned around and they did not. It was a kangaroo court. He should have recused himself from the beginning in his 23 years of being a DA. working he's never, and I know you guys talked about this last week, he's never prosecuted a police officer, never one indictment. Now either they got the best police officers in America, in the world, or he's just, I want him to be my, if I'm in charge of a crime, I want him to be my prosecutor. Because I think Lawrence O'Donnell talked about that too on MSNBC. He said they gave the wrong documents to them, the wrong documents about a law saying that if a police officer is in fear for his life, he can do whatever he needs to do, even chasing a suspect, a fleeing suspect, he still can use lethal force. That was ruled by the United States Supreme Court that you can't do that, especially if they're fleeing. You can't be in fear of your life while they're fleeing. When the juror asked about that, not a juror, what do they call them, people in the grand jury, whatever. When the grand juror, one of the grand jury members asked a question about that, does that have to deal with this particular case? He said, well, that's up to you to decide, and it was begs for people to look at it again. That situation, there was no camera. That was Darren Wilson versus the witnesses. This situation here, we're talking with Eric Garner. You got the whole thing on videotape with the legal chokehold, him saying I can't breathe, and all this other kind of stuff like that. You even have pictures and video of him dead body just laying on the ground, and what happened since then. So one of the things that's come out of this is President Obama's trying to get more cameras on police officers, and releasing trying to do 50,000 cops, and doing some money trying to get that together. I like that idea, but again, with John Crawford, he just got killed in Walmart, the guy that got shot. The little kid in Cincinnati that got shot, the 12-year-old, and they had cameras of that. It doesn't matter. What was it?
Tamar Rice.
Say it again?
Tamar Rice.
Tamar Rice, yeah, Tamar Rice. You still got footage, but if you got prosecutors that are going to do the very best to complement the defense when it comes to prosecuting people, you got the same people that, even with the Mike Brown situation, where the kid, Darren Wilson, wiped the blood off of his hands. The person that was supposed to be taking pictures, her cell phone didn't work, so they didn't take pictures. All this other kind of stuff like that. It was a kangaroo court from the beginning. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, the people that are in New York, we'll see if they're smart enough or not as smart enough to drop all of the evidence and all of everything like they did with Ferguson case with Mike Brown. But I am curious to see how what does a cop, and this is what it comes down to now, what does a police officer have to do to get indicted? I ain't even saying be found guilty of murder. What do you have to do to get indicted at this point in time in this country? Again, it's saying that if somebody wants to indict me for something, I jaywalk or something like that. If there's no proof, the prosecutor the ball is in his court to do whatever he wants to do to get an indictment. And most of the times, if they want an indictment, 99.9% of the times they get it. All that means is that we're going to court. You're going to face a judge and you're going to do everything else like that. It still doesn't mean you're guilty or anything else like that, but you're going to have your fair day in court. We need to discuss this a little bit further. But I'm at the point where with both of these situations, a few months ago, I got pulled over right off of MLK because the police officer said that he couldn't see the word Florida under my Alpha Phi Alpha license tag. He couldn't see the word all the way for Florida. So I wasn't speeding. I had my seatbelt on. I was just leaving Mount Olive for my rehearsal with my church choir there in my male chorus. Yeah, I'm riding out. He pulled behind me. Oh, Lord, here we go. Get on MLK. Lights go on. So I pulled behind Mount Sinai Church. which was my first mistake. So I shouldn't have pulled in. It was dark right by the Legion. So he comes up to me. The first thing out of his mouth was, "You have any drugs or weapons in your vehicle?" I said, "If I did, why would I tell you?" Which I tried to keep myself together, but I'm like, "No, good evening. No, how are you doing, sir? You know I pulled you over. No, do you have any drugs or whatever?" With his hand on this, already had his hand on this gun. I'm like, if you are scared of me and pulling people over, you need to get a daytime shift or something like that. You're in the wrong hood for this job if you are more worried about yourself, your safety, and not mine. So he asked me for my license and registration. I gave him my license. My registration wasn't in my glove compartment. I went looking for it. I didn't see it. I had some paperwork behind me, so I turned around to see if my registration was behind me. Him and the other cop grabbed their guns. Oh, wait. They almost blew me away. That's when I got pissed and I pulled my phone out. And I said, all right. Because the guy went and checked for my registration and all that stuff. They have it in their car. When the other guy sitting on the other side with his hand on his gun and the flashlight pointing at me the whole time. I said, do you really need to stand there and do that? Got it on tape the whole time. But if they would have killed me, you know what their defense would be? He made an aggressive movement.
Right.
And I thought he was going for a weapon. I was in fear for my life. So the police union is going to come out with ballers. They were great people that are doing their best. And unfortunately, whatever, I would be just for the same standard. And fear for his life came in right there. And people would raise $400,000, $500,000 for their defense and everything else like that because cops do no wrong. All cops are not bad. All blacks are not room, the cop almost always get away with it. Don't even go to court. And there's a problem with that. We need to discuss that. That's from my personal experience. I know if I would have got blown away, they all would say, well, I'm sorry, we thought he had a gun.
Right.
So I'm within my rights to blow him away.
Yeah.
And that's not right. It's not. It's not. They should not get away with it, and they always do.
Well, in that situation, it would have been right if they had shot you. You don't think?
They asked me to look for my driver's license and registration, and I turned around to do that. Like the guy that got shot in California, and the other guy said, give me your license. He reached for his license, pop, 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 shot him 4 times. What you shot me for? You reached for something. Yeah, I reached for my license.
Right. But how is the cop supposed to know?
Cop asked him to do it.
No. How is the cop supposed to know what he's doing?
If you asked him to get your driver's license, and I'm going to say, I'm reaching for my driver's license, Mr. Officer. Exactly. Please do not shoot. You can come up here, bring your hands, watch me do it. I'm going to do it really slowly, so I'm not lunging at you. That's ridiculous.
We're going to be back in just a few minutes. We'll discuss this on the other side. This is Politico right here on CTV 1. Keep it locked.
You ever wanted to know what's going on in and around your community? CommunityTV1.com is your answer. Go ahead, log on to www.communitytv1.com and get your info on.
Crystal Joy Sound System Rentals and Professional Recording Studio is at your service. In association with Community TV 1, the only community-based multimedia studio. Crystal Joy offers professional subs, main tops, monitors, power amps, professional mics, and a full soundproof multi-room studio specializing in Christian singers, groups, and bands. If you are talented and think you've got what it takes, we're looking for you to join our record label, Crystal Joy Records. For more information, contact 239-771-2560.
The City of Fort Myers has supported new and early stage businesses by providing a location and technical assistance to new business owners. Tenants also have access to free business consulting, professional receptionist office, free Wi-Fi, 2 conference rooms, a large training room, copier and fax. Many new businesses now operating successfully have had their start at the Enterprise Center. If you have a business idea you would like to pursue, call Tom Scott at 239-321-7085 and come join us.
So if you want us to make it through this little dry season that we're having right now, I suggest you let me be the man that I am and handle this situation. Oh, and yes, we are going to my mother's for Christmas. Case closed.
That, my brothers and sisters, is how you keep Christmas.
And welcome back to Politico here on CTV1. I am RJ along with Earl. All right, now before we left, we were discussing the lawlessness of Willie Sparrow.
Oh, yeah.
In which he drove around, officers stopped him, and you made a move to get your license, right? Now, this is something that that we do need to discuss, especially among African-American men. Now, if we admit that law enforcement are going to have a problem if you're an African-American male, we also have to admit that there are certain things that we have to do. I taught my son, I don't know if I've mentioned it when you were here, but I mentioned it last week. I taught my son 10 and 2. When the cop stops you, I don't care how much of an Uncle Tom, if your fella's in the car or whatever, I don't want to hear it. Yes, sir? You want my license, sir? Yes, sir? Now, the other mentality of that is, he ain't gonna punk me. No, but you dead. Okay? So you can say that, you can stand up for yourself and you have rights. That's fine. And that's beautiful. But the fact is that if law enforcement ends up shooting you, like you just said, what they're going to say is that you made a sudden movement. I always told my son, make sure that your registration is in the glove compartment along with your insurance in a bright colored envelope. Let them know you're reaching in your glove compartment. If you are carrying a firearm, which many of us do, let them know when they come up, yes, I do have a firearm in my vehicle. It's in my glove compartment. We don't have to worry about the law as long as we're doing what we're supposed to do. Now, some people say, you shucking and jiving and you bowing down. That is not bowing down. That's following the law. These people are getting killed because cops, in many cases, are overreacting because there is a preconceived idea that African-American males are violent. Eric Garner, big brother. I'm big. And I know that in many cases that someone will look at me, look at a little cop, and say, well, of course he was afraid. It doesn't matter what the situation may have been. So what we have to start doing is we have to be smarter. I hear all the time that we know better, that this happened in history, and we know our rights, and we need to be able to do this, and we need to do that. Knowing means that you can behave in a more intelligent way. If you do not behave in a more intelligent way, then what's the use of having that knowledge? Being able to tell a cop where to get off, that's fine. And it may make you feel good. Being shot Not so much. So when I said last segment that I could understand the cop would say that, it's because I've spoken with law enforcement officers, and like I said, Johnny Streets gave me a completely different paradigm shift when I interviewed him, and he told me that every day that he got dressed for work, he was afraid. And everybody knows Sarge. Sarge looked like he ain't scared of nothing. Oh, is that a tank? You know, move it out the way. Sarge looked like he can. But for him to tell me that every single day when he was pulling that badge out, when he was strapping on that gun, that he was afraid, totally changed my mind about some things. When a cop stops me and asks me, "Sir, do you have any weapons in your car or something that may endanger my safety?" I'm going to let him know, yes, I have this there. If I have a gun, I'm going to say, yeah, I have this in there, and yeah, that is very dangerous because I'm very good with it. So I'm going to let you know that it's there up front. If he wants to come around and take it out of the car, fine. My stuff is correct. So as long as we're following the law, it's okay. I think we run into issues when we start trying to compare ourselves to people who are thugs and who break the law. You are not going to get sympathy for Michael Brown from a whole lot of people after they see the video of him robbing a store with his bare hands. So they're going to easily believe that this guy was able to attack a cop because he seems to not have good sense. Therefore, the grand jury verdict makes perfect sense in the minds of some people because the law enforcement officer was dealing with someone who was capable of going into a store and robbing it, who apparently attacked him in his vehicle. Now, once he did that, you lost some people. The video, he lost some people. Reaching inside the car, hitting the officer, even if it wasn't as damaging as they claim, the forensics evidence apparently shows that he was shot inside the car. He was shot in the hand inside the car, or his thumb. So he ran off. Now, from that point on, if you can believe that this man will, and I have trouble believing that he came, I don't know no teenagers or no man that runs towards somebody shooting at him. I don't know anybody that brave. But the fact is, once you get to the point where, okay, he did reach in the car and he did have a tussle with the officer inside the car for that handgun, the rest of it is up in the air because we have witnesses saying all kinds of different things. So I'm not saying I agree with the indictment, but I do understand it. Charles Barkley came out and he made some comments calling some of the people in Ferguson idiots. Yep, okay, scumbags. But now, with Charles Barkley's remarks, which were silly because Charles apparently didn't read any of the transcripts and didn't know what happened in the case. He even admitted that during the interview. But most of the left-leaning publications, of course, pulled out the scumbag remark. Oh, did you hear what Charles Barkley said? But Barkley also said most of the people in the black community are law-abiding. And he admitted that we need the police in our community.
Here's the way I heard it.
Which one are we talking about?
Barkley now.
Okay.
You left a lot of stuff on the thing with that. I'm not even going to go back to that about the conflict and everything else with the struggle and all that with I'll just say this much. With Mike Brown.
Uh-huh.
If Mike Brown is on the right-hand side, here's the car, here's the truck the guy was in.
Mm-hmm.
He reaches in for the gun, but he hits Darren Wilson on the right side of his face, even though he's on the left-hand side, instead of hitting the left-hand side of his face.
Okay.
Some stuff didn't matter. It just didn't make sense.
But
wait a minute.
No, his boy, because you're throwing it off, and the fact is that his friend, who was the eyewitness, admitted that there was a struggle in the car. So that part we know happened. No matter which side you're on, we know that part happened.
But the issue is, how do you hit somebody on this side of the face if you're on the other side of his hands ain't that long. But the point of the matter is, the conflict, there's conflicting witnesses in every single case.
If his best friend,
every single case
partner in crime,
but you gotta let me talk. I let you talk.
No, because you're making a statement.
But I let you talk, whether I agree with you or not. I let you talk, and I don't interrupt you.
His partner in crime said that he reached in the car and that he hit the guy. But because what you're doing right now is you're trying to say that it didn't happen, but his boy already said it happened.
I'm asking a question.
Regardless of what side of his face he got hit on.
How do you
ask his
stand
partner
on the other side? But it's not about just that witness, and that's another part of that gets with the indictment.
Okay.
When I have two people, 1 and 2, all right, y'all say the same thing. All right, that's going to present the strongest case I need. 1 and 2, that's all that we bring in the head. There we go, we're done.
Right.
That's not what McCullen did.
I agree.
He brought everybody from everything, and he muddied the water. He dumped a ton of evidence.
He didn't want to
confuse
indict
those people because he did not want to indict.
We'll agree
so they're
on
saying that they came to the right agreement and everything else like that. That's a bunch of bullcrap. That is not true.
Who said they came to the right agreement?
You said that we came to the early agreement. We're going to roll the tape.
You see what I'm saying?
You said
it's always that something gets put in my mouth.
You agreed.
I never said that.
We'll roll that beautiful beam footage like they said.
No. I want you to tell me exactly what I said. Because I didn't hear me say that.
All right. Here's the thing now. Here's the thing. Here's my thing now. Barkley says a lot of crap. Barkley said that without the cops, the black community be like the wild, wild west.
Right.
Without the cops in the community. And that how we managed all of these, we've been free since 1865, how we ended up living our lives without having white police officers and cops riding down the street all day and night. I don't know how that happened, but it made it seem like we're natives, like, the little Tarzan movie where the little natives or the stupid African people are running around and they can't stop them, and here comes this white person saving all that kind of crap like that. So when he said without the cops in it, the community would be, African American community would be like the wild, wild west with lawlessness and everybody raping and shooting and killing each other. That's a slap in the face to his own people. That's a slap in his mama's face, his grandma's face, his cousins, his uncles, his children, everybody else's face. That without, and it's not about being anti-cop. You can't say it's all about justice when it's about when I can do no wrong. If I shoot you, I kill you, I'm going to skirt the system. I'm going to have a DA throw a fluff case at me, and I'm not going to get indicted and everything else. Something happened to you, you're accused of it or something like that, you're going to jail, you're going to have bond. We're not going to do this long, lengthy 3-month thing. We're just going to throw you in. We're going to try to give you a plea deal so you can get out ahead of time and get that on your record or something like that because we're already overcrowded. That's the thing what's part of the insults that Charles Barkley threw out. And that's what I heard when he's saying that there will be lawlessness and all this other kind of stuff. It'd be like the wild, wild west, as he said. No,
he didn't say that.
We'll see again. We got to watch it again.
He didn't say that.
Watch it again.
Like I say, we have this situation where people hear things that did not get said. He said if you did not have the cops, that it would be like the Wild Wild West.
That's what I said.
If thugs were not, no, you said that he said everybody going around killing each other. That's
Wild Wild West. What's the Wild Wild West? When you hear the Wild Wild West, what do you think of?
When he said that comment, I'm thinking about thugs going around shooting. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about criminals. I'm thinking about criminals being criminals. That's what I'm thinking about. Look, if my house gets broken into, I'm not calling Darnell down on the corner. I'm dialing 911 to get a cop there. Okay, so when he said that we keep trying to throw the cops under the bus in this situation, he's right, because we keep looking at ourselves through the eyes of the thugs. We don't want to separate ourselves. He made the comment a few weeks ago. Well, that's exactly what you're doing right now. And you don't even recognize it.
Through the eyes of the thugs?
Yes, you're seeing it through the eyes of the thug. You're talking about being harassed as if you're out there dealing drugs and breaking in homes and doing all this stuff.
But they don't see me as a black male driving a vehicle as a possible person that would have drugs or whatever. They don't. That's them. So I have jaded thoughts towards them, but they don't have jaded opinions about me.
So who should
they pull up?
So who should you blame for those jaded opinions?
We should all sit together. I don't have a gun.
No, I asked a simple question. Who should you blame
for that? Everybody needs to sit
You see what I'm saying? Now you're saying everybody needs to sit down and talk about it. The people that I blame are the people who are drug dealers, who are actually out here with guns, shooting at people and killing people. I blame them because they go out with the same color skin as I do, or they're driving the same type of vehicle as I do. So the person that's on patrol that's supposed to arrest that person that's out there doing those things, he sees me and he does see a criminal because of the acts of those few. So if we do have a legitimate complaint about law enforcement and the over-policing of the African American community, then we need to lay it squarely on the people that it belongs to. It does not belong to you and I. That cop, when he stopped you, you should have been pissed. You had every right to be. But now, what you should also wonder is, okay, is there another guy out there that's driving the same type vehicle, has dark tint on his windows, that caused this cop to see my vehicle and say, okay, I'm raising my daughters, I'm raising my family, I got my wife at home, I'm taking care of business, I'm paying my taxes, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, and I'm doing it correctly, that made this guy stop me. I'm mad at the guy who's out there doing the stuff that caused this guy to want to stop you. Okay, we have...
Give him a pass. It's all right.
Again, that's not what I said.
I'm asking you.
No, sir.
Did I give him a pass?
No, sir.
That's what you said.
No, sir. You shouldn't. But what I'm saying is we have to stop seeing ourselves through the eyes of the thugs, because it's those thugs out there that want to know, why you always messing with me? Because you got a record long as my arm, and so the cop is out here harassing you about it.
No, he's
okay.
harassing everybody that looks.
Okay. We'll finish it up on the other side of this. This is Politico right here on CTV 1.
You ever wanted to know what's going on in and around your community? CommunityTV1.com is your answer. Go ahead, log on to www.communitytv1.com and get your info on.
Crystal Joy Sound System Rentals and Professional Recording Studio is at your service. In association with Community TV 1, the only community-based multimedia studio. Crystal Joy offers professional subs, main tops, monitors, power amps, professional mics, and a full soundproof multi-room studio specializing in Christian singers, groups, and bands. If you are talented and think you've got what it takes, we're looking for you to join our record label, Crystal Joy Records. For more information, contact 239-771-2560.
The City of Fort Myers has supported new and early-stage businesses by providing a location and technical assistance to new business owners. Tenants also have access to free business consulting, professional receptionist office, free Wi-Fi, 2 conference rooms, a large training room, copier, and fax. Many new businesses now operating successfully have had their start at the Enterprise Center. If you have a business idea you would like to pursue, call Tom Scott at 239-321-7085 and come join us.
So if you want us to make it through this little dry season that we're having right now, I suggest you let me be the man that I am and handle this situation. Oh, and yes, we are going to my mother's for Christmas. Case closed.
That, my brothers and sisters, is how you keep Christmas.
And welcome back to Politico right here on CTV1. I am RJ along with. Okay, now is Earl's mic up loud enough? We got live data coming in that said it's not. Is it loud enough now? Okay, so hopefully, go ahead, Todd. Let us know if it's loud enough for you, okay? All right, we have now I'm scared of feedback now. All right, we have a situation that developed the week before last with Rudolph Giuliani, who was the former mayor of New York City, and of course he was the 9/11 mayor, and came to prominence then. I met Giuliani when he was running for president against then Senator Barack Obama, and I thought Giuliani was very personable. I think he speaks from the heart, but he said some inflammatory things. First, he made a comment with Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, and if you get an opportunity, please look him up. Very intelligent, well-spoken guy, MSNBC contributor and sometimes host. He made the statement that if blacks would stop killing each other, that there wouldn't be a need for so many white policemen in the black community. Now, Sunday, Giuliani kind of doubled down on that because he said, and I'm quoting here, I'm looking up on Media Matters, I don't want to get him wrong, more responsibility is on the black community to reduce the tensions with police. So basically, what he is saying, break it down this way, that most of the murders that happen in the African American community are committed by African American men, that these African American men should be held more accountable by the black community, and he's basically saying that we do not hold them accountable enough, and then when situations jump off, we blame Darren Wilson, i.e., the just crazy number of African Americans that have died in Chicago over the last couple of years, sometimes as many as 30 or 40 in a month, that have died in one city, Chicago, Illinois, at the hands of another African American in the town of the president, that we have to get some type of a grasp on that. So Giuliani is catching some heat for that.
That in where you and pat you down anytime I want to profile of a terrorist, profile of a shoot somebody, mug somebody. I protect you anytime you feel like doing it, make sure right, all this other kind of stuff. Take care of everybody, that's most important. Pulled over or asked to pat it down out of nowhere just because you fit a profile, that's fine. So that's the background of Giuliani. He turns around and says, I would call it blaming the victim. And I call it slut shaming. Mm-hmm. This is a classic case of two things. Slut shaming, number one. Girl gets raped, well, she shouldn't have had on a miniskirt. Mm-hmm. She shouldn't have been drinking at that party. She shouldn't have did this. She shouldn't have been in there with all those boys. That's slut shaming. That's the first thing. So black people are killing black people. So you black people figure it out, and then we white people and all these cops won't have to come in Tarzan thing on top about it and bring law and order to the wild, wild west. Mm-hmm. But then the other part about it is he's playing on one side of the coin that is called black on black crime. Mm-hmm. But I look into it a little bit. I think 79% of black people are black, but then 65% 5% white, killed by white.
It's 70. It's over 70.
It's over 70.
Yeah.
So it's like white on white crime is not an epidemic, but black on black crime is an epidemic that needs to be taken care of. Right. So, how do you kind of determine which is which? White on black crime or something like that, or white on black crime, but the black on black crime, which is a higher percentage than white on white crime, that's a problem. So we need to over-police and we need to do all this other kind of stuff like that in this community. If we have a shared pet, we got a dog or a cat, I feed the cat, I take care of the cat, I pet the cat, I watch the cat, I bathe the cat, I do everything with the cat. The cat likes me. You call for the cat goes running because you always kicking it or you always pulling the cat tail or something like that. Is it the cat's fault that he don't trust you, or is it your fault that the cat don't trust you? Right. It's kind of weird. If I'm coming to you and the first thing you see when I'm riding around and the cop pulls behind me, the first thing that pops in my mind, oh crap, I'm probably going to get pulled over for no reason again.
Yep, me too.
Is that my fault that I feel that way?
No, it's them thugs.
It's the thugs, all right, it's the thugs' fault. But if the cops don't understand, I'm a little aggravated that you pulled me over, you're probably the fourth, fifth person to pull me over for something I fit the description or something like that, then that's what the real problem is. The real problem is I have to treat, I've been conditioned to treat all people of color that this way, that you might have a gun, that you might have this, now you got to be real careful that you might make a lunge motion and all that other kind of stuff. That's really what it boils down to, retraining. Not everybody's a criminal. Not every cop's a racist that's ready to shoot first. Not every black person has a criminal record and ready to shoot you and got a gun and everything else like that. But somehow, some way, like I said earlier in the show, if we can't build that trust, it's going to get even worse. Now, when there are cases where people are getting killed, or I put on my Facebook page earlier today about a little 14-year-old boy last year that was in a chokehold and put under arrest and everything else like that from a cop. But when that's all you see, when you see a cop, oh crap, here you go, they're going to blame me for something else or something like that. How do you repair that? How do you repair the trust where I'm going to go and run to that person and they're not going to think I'm a cop and think I'm the suspect or I'm the one that did something? So it's terrible that we're at a place where even if there is evidence of police brutality, even if it's footage on camera, people still get away with it. What do you do then? What do you do? How do you go forward? How do you build trust when I know that my side of the story, I don't even have a side of the story. Your side of the story is going to get told, and your buddies, and your friends, and your judges, and everybody, these prosecutors that are your police union and everything else like that, are going to be the ones that are going to try to take you to court and prosecute you for possibly murdering me or using excessive force. Right. How do we build trust when there's nobody really getting prosecuted for that? Okay. How do you do that? There's no way to do that.
Okay. Well, first off, Giuliani basically didn't know what he was talking about when he made the comment. 90-some% of African-American crime is on African-Americans, but I didn't know what was going on.
I don't either.
It was like, all right, are y'all okay? Okay, so 95% of the crime, African-American, black on black. The problem with Rudy Giuliani's statement, the biggest problem with it, is that when you start talking about someone who is committing a murder, you're talking about a criminal. It does not matter what the color is. So, of course, interracial, you're going to go like for like. Most white women are raped by white men. Most black women are raped by black men. Most black women are abused by black men. Most white women abused by white men. So he threw out a straw man argument that really, when it boils down to it, does not make sense. And he kind of probably should have kept his mouth closed. I don't even know why they're asking him questions. He is not in elected office anymore.
Nope.
He's not even a statesman.
Nope.
So for him to now weigh in on a situation and to just play it off as if, oh, you guys would be out there killing each other if we were not there, that was very wrong. And he should have kept his mouth closed.
It's the dog whistle that keeps coming over and over again, that black on black crime, white officer killed Mike Brown. Sure. Now y'all want to protest. Now you want to do all this, but like the little 5-year-old that got killed, and those guys that were, what was the little kid name? I forgot, the boy that got shot in his house a few weeks ago.
Oh, Faust.
Faust, yeah, Andrew Faust. Is it Andrew? Andrew Faust.
Junior.
The black community was up in arms about that too.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is, his killers are where? Are they? They're alleged killers. The people that allegedly shot him. Where are they? Are they doing a grand jury to find out what's going on with him? Are they interviewing? Are the people that are allegedly shot those bullets, are they free right now? No, they're not. Are they getting did the prosecutors push a soft behind case like they did with Mike Brown and probably did with Eric Gardner? We'll see. We'll see. Those documents haven't been dropped. Mm-hmm. But you can't say justice is blind. Even if justice is blind, they got the little picture with Lady Justice with the thing over her eyes, blindfold. Somebody whispered in her ear, that's a cop, so we're going to go light, we're going to go easy on her.
Right.
That's not right.
Yeah, it kind of is. And my reason for saying that, the fact is we call law enforcement to come into a dangerous situation. Mm-hmm. We don't say, go down to Krispy Kreme and when there's hot donut sign on because you need to control traffic. There's dope dealers in here, there's prostitutions going on, somebody's out here shooting. Mm-hmm. We call them to come into a dangerous situation. So I cannot call you to run into a dangerous situation when everybody else is running out of it, mm-hmm. and then hold you to the same standards as everybody else. So I do understand when things like this go the different way. If there is any way of letting a cop off, it's going to happen. Okay, there's very little we can do about that other than not to play the game. Okay, the people that we end up protesting and end up getting killed, for the most part, always have a criminal record. Now, taking you and I out of the equation, let's look at what our children see. Okay? Our children see a video of Michael Brown on the internet robbing a store with his bare hands. He's snatching man, get out of my face, and walking off and everything else. Okay? Now they see the community up in arms burning down buildings. Okay? What our children see, and I know this for a fact from dealing with children in their adolescent minds, they don't see that you're out there protesting the system. They see you out there sticking up for the crook, the criminal, the thug. Now, we have already an issue in our community that gangster rap glorifies the thug mentality. Mm-hmm. So when our kids see us out there burning buildings, which we aren't doing, it's the criminals out there doing that, or they even see us in the street holding up signs and saying, stop, don't, hands up, don't shoot. When they see all that, they're thinking, oh, all of that is for Michael Brown. They're not saying, oh, it's against an unfair judicial system, because that's not what they're going to hear. So, yeah, we can't, and I don't want you to get started on your next topic because we only have 1 minute. But we can't say that, okay, officer, I need you to run into that building where there's a guy who's gonna kill, who has enough bullets to kill the whole state. And when he goes in there and he ends up killing him, which happens all the time, which happened here a couple of years ago in Lee County. They were called out, person had mental health issues, out there shooting, young cop ended up killing him. Everybody wanted the guy indicted. So much so that everybody I spoke with, I was on radio talking about this, everybody I spoke with didn't even know he had a gun. They didn't realize he had already shot someone. So the mentality is to blame whoever is in authority because we don't want to be seen to blame the ones who are really responsible. Okay, we have to go on break. You can start off when we come back.
All right.
This is Politico right here on CTV 1.
Strength.
You ever wanted to know what's going on in and around the community? Community TV 1, www.communitytv1.com, and get your info on.
Crystal Joy Sound System Rentals and Professional Recording Studio is at your service. In association with Community TV 1, the only community-based multimedia studio. Crystal Joy offers professional subs, main tops, monitors, power amps, professional mics, and a full soundproof multi-room studio specializing in Christian singers, groups, and bands. If you are talented and think you got what it takes, we're looking for you to join our record label, Crystal Joy Records. For more information, contact 239-771-2560.
The City of Fort Myers has supported new and early-stage businesses by providing a location and technical assistance to new business owners. Tenants also have access to free business consulting, professional receptionist office, free Wi-Fi, 2 conference rooms, a large training room, copier, and fax. Many new businesses now operating successfully have had their start at the Enterprise Center. If you have a business idea you would like to pursue, call Tom Scott at 239-321-7085 and come join us.
So if you want us to make it through this little dry season that we're having right now, I suggest you let me be the man that I am and handle this situation. Oh, and yes, we are going to my mother's for Christmas. Case closed.
That, my brothers and sisters, is how you keep Christmas.
Okay, welcome back to Politico here on Community TV 1. Interesting conversation, even off camera. Yeah, we continue to talk about this stuff off camera.
Can't get a word on camera.
So
I gotta talk off camera.
You have to be interesting too.
Oh yeah.
When you
I'm gonna start interrupting you like you interrupt me all the time.
So
play the
when you
footy.
start,
Roll that beautiful thing.
when you start talking about a person like Michael Brown, and they hear and see people in the streets holding up signs and holding up their hands, the St. Louis Browns fans holding up their hands. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what the grand jury, whatever their conclusion came to, the kids see the thug Mike Brown on the internet.
Kids see, I'm a human. The kids see,
Okay.
I am not just a thug or I'm this criminal and all this other kind of stuff like that. I have a soul. I have mom and dad,
That's what they
kids,
say.
and everything else like that. The kids see, even if I raise my hand, I'm gonna get shot.
That's what they say.
That's what the protest is about. That's what all this other stuff is about. The justice system
That's
works
what it's really about. You're
one time,
absolutely right.
one way for black people, and one way for a different set of races of people.
Okay.
That's what they're seeing.
All right.
I'm not a kid and you're not a kid, so I can't tell you what the
I
kids
can.
see. But
I speak with them all the time.
I can see what I see from this is that, yes, you robbed this thing or something like that, so you deserve to die. Yes, you had a career record, or you have a criminal record or something like that, so you're a bad person, so who cares if you were surrendering or trying to run away or something like that. He's justified in taking your life. You gave up the right to have your life by X, Y, or Z, or he felt threatened or something like that. Even if you're 30 feet, 40 feet away, running away or something like that, it don't matter. With hands up, it don't matter. I'm shooting you. I'm going to keep going because I'm mad. I'm insulted, I'm offended, or whatever. I'm hurt. My face hurt or something like that. I don't care. I can shoot. I can do whatever I want to. I legally have authority to do whatever I want to because I have the gun and I'm the cop and I'm going to get the benefit of the doubt 99% of the time. So that's what the situation is. That's what I saw with the rounds putting their hands up saying, hey, we're human. I'm a human too. If I'm surrendering, don't take your finger off the trigger, please.
Okay.
That's not saying that Mike had his hands up or not. The point of the matter is that if somebody is surrendering, you don't keep emptying your clip on them. And that's where the whole story flipped.
Okay,
Before we knew about Mike Brown and him robbing the cigarillos or all that other kind of stuff like that. The man gave up. Okay. He was surrendered to the cop, but the cop kept shooting. That's the testimony that everybody else was giving, and that's why this should have went to a trial, a full trial, to find out what was going on. But that did not happen. That's why everybody else is saying, all right, well, we gave justice a chance. But knowing with McCullough that never prosecutes cops, that wasn't going to happen. So whatever they did, what they needed to do. I don't justify violence. I don't justify them doing anything. But what other options do they have? We tried to use the justice system. The justice system works this way for cops. It works this way for rich people. It works this way for famous people. It works a different way for people that don't have money. It works a different way for people that look like me and you. Whether we have money or not, it's a difference. And that's what the situation is about. I think the biggest story about Mike Brown was that maybe an innocent kid got shot and murdered while he was surrendering. That is what I get. You can get whatever you want to get out of it. Now, if there was a possibility that a kid that was doing, wait a minute, you go on 20-minute tirades and I sit and listen.
I'm going to go back to my original point, okay?
I'm going to finish first. No, I have not.
I'm going to go back to my original point.
When
I said that the kids see the law enforcement and the citizens of Ferguson, the children see. Now, we can go back and try and retry all of the grand jury testimony and everything else, which we have done. We have beaten that to death. I'm going to go back to my original statement that our children see us out there complaining because a thug was killed. They're not seeing it as all the stuff that you just threw in there. My hands raised, man. Don't shoot me. Okay, fine. But our kids see that, okay, gangster must be okay because everybody out there burning buildings. People marching down the street behind a thug. So the message that we end up seeing is the wrong message. It will continue.
Is everybody has value. Every life is worth it.
Okay.
The value
and you're going to keep saying this.
That is
you have made this point several times. I don't know how else you can.
Over and over again.
I am not.
So he can. It don't matter what happens.
Okay. I did not say that,
you
but
said,
it doesn't
we're
matter.
Glorifying the thug. That's what you've said more than once.
Okay,
right?
is that me
glorifying
saying?
The life of a thug? And this thug had a life, he had a wedding, had a funeral that was on CNN and MSNBC and all that other stuff. We're glorifying a thug.
Did I say that he needed to be shot down? Did that come out of my mouth?
You said we are glorifying the thug.
Which we are.
We're glorifying the thug.
Let me ask this.
I'm saying
the folks who were watching, I'll give you that. Did Michael Brown deserve the funeral that he had? Did Michael Brown deserve the funeral that he had?
Here's my opinion about that. My fraternity, I filed $5,000 to the funeral because there was a possibility that as he surrendered, he still got murdered.
You keep going back. We have said this.
No. You said So if an innocent kid, but you're talking about the funeral. Did he deserve to have a funeral? Yes.
I didn't say that he deserved to have a funeral.
Did he deserve to have the funeral he had? Let me say the word.
Preempted on national television.
Because
should that not be reserved for someone who has contributed something to the African American community?
If a person that is surrendering,
I keep forgetting. Don't matter if you a thug. Don't matter if you robbing a store with your bare hands.
So
we're all the same.
So we should throw him in.
We're all the same.
Throw him in a brown box. Throw him in a ditch.
I guess that's what I said.
That's what you feel like? I mean,
did I say that?
I'm asking.
No,
you what
I don't.
You're saying
no, I don't.
What kind of funeral should he have had?
He should have had a regular funeral without all the pomp and circumstance and without all that glitter of him being glamorized.
Did he have
because what he saw, again, I'm going back to my original purpose for getting on this topic. Mm-hmm. What our kids saw was a thug who was robbing a store on videotape, getting this big funeral. He had all these dignitaries come in and speak. Eric Holder came in to investigate. Now, whose fault is it? It's the fault of law enforcement, because law enforcement allowed him to lay out there for all that time. Law enforcement handled the arrest of Darren Wilson in a bad way.
He never was arrested.
The way it was presented to the grand jury was wrong. It was not standard operating procedure, and it was all wrong. But when it comes down to it, the fact is he didn't get indicted. We have to look at the causes for that. We also have to look at the fact that we in our community have an issue with the gangster lifestyle being glamorized, and that all this does, by giving all this sway to Michael Brown, all it did was make it worse. So at the end of the day, when you get past all he had his hands up and he was ready to surrender and all of that, and again, I'm going to go back to what I said originally. I agree there should have been a trial. I agree with all of that. But I'm not finna sit up here and say, he needs to be held up as the cause celeb for human rights in the black community. I don't agree with that. If that cop had shot some girl that was on her way to college, and she had classes and she signed up for them and everything else, and this girl is dead and in the street, we should be on a bus right now to Ferguson, because she was trying to make something of her life. But we can't look at law enforcement's interaction with criminals and then hold that up as being the way that we are all dealt with, because it is not true, no matter how you want to slice it.
The issue is, we all know this. That could be our last day, and that could be us. We can be misinterpreted by the wrong, how mad or how pissed or how whatever the person is.
Willie, I promise you this. If that cop had shot you while you were reaching for your license, I'll be out there throwing Molotov cocktails right now. Because you are an example. You do what you're supposed to do. You're taking care of your family. So if someone like you gets attacked by law enforcement, if you catch the beat down Rodney King took out, I'll carry Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton here on my shoulders. But don't ask me to stand up and shout and cry about Michael Brown. Okay? I'll shout up and I'll say everything I need to say about the judicial system that led to no indictment, to no prosecution. There is no way in the hell that I'm going to stand up and say that all this pomp and circumstance behind Michael Brown was justified. So at the end of the day, the message that we're sending is the wrong message, and it also allows someone like Rudy Giuliani to step in and fill that void by making outlandish statements about the African American community. But he's doing what many of us do, painting us all with the same brush. You and I leaving this studio and getting shot by cops is not the same as two drug dealers getting shot by cops. In my mind, if it's two drug dealers, there's reasonable doubt that the cop was acting just out of pure racial hatred, okay? Or he did something, that he should not have done. To me, you have a way or opportunity to justify that. But when you have someone who is working, taking care of their family, and it happens to them, there's something wrong. The judicial system that happened with the Central Park 5, when those young men went to the police station and they were railroaded into saying that they did something that they didn't do because they were kept awake for hours. Okay, we need to examine that. But no, don't try to get me to say, oh, we're all the same, and he had his hands up and they shouldn't have shot him. He kept shooting because this guy can justify it. Why can he justify it? Because there is way more than half the country that believes that any person that will walk into a store and rob it with his bare hands is capable of charging a cop.
The issue for me is that he became a symbol of excessive force, the use of excessive force, excessive lethal force. That's why all this attention and all this other kind of whatever happened to me, or whatever he was doing or something like that. Was he an angel? His mom admitted that he wasn't an angel. Right. But that was my nephew, that was your son, that was somebody close to you, a little bit, even if he had a history of passing, they don't need to get shot.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
That's really what.
But it also means
but you already said that. You said that.
You don't preempt
that
television.
the things DA and the mayor and everybody else dropped the ball.
Right.
Even worse. And added to.
And that's what caused
it.
it.
Sorry for Mike Brown and giving credence to the way y'all feel. Was he really that bad? You know, that's I mean, I agree with that. That there is no justification, and I think that's a part of the. Darren Wilson didn't know anything about the arrest or the stolen cigars or something like that.
That was part of the misinformation. When this happened, they claimed that it had nothing to do with
They were walking down the street. They were walking down the street in the middle of the road, and he probably came up and told him something smart.
Get out the road.
You're going to say, please, young man, get out of the side.
Get your black ass out the road.
He probably said something really nasty to him. They got all that stuff started. Trying to, like, you have any drugs or weapons on you, trying to get a reaction out of somebody.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's perfect. I don't think Mike Brown's perfect. The truth's somewhere in between. But we'll never hear Mike Brown's side of the story.
Exactly.
He's gone.
Which leads us to another point. When the situation happened, we only have a minute. Okay. How many more? We're at segment 4. This is the last segment. Oh, wow.
Oh, we have some more stuff to talk about.
See what happens when I let you talk?
Yeah.
God!
We get some,
okay.
We actually get 2 sides of the coin.
Okay, so now we do have a situation that's developing in New York City. They are expecting it to be a peaceful demonstration, but the same in Ferguson. Most of the people that were in the crowd last week and earlier this week, they have not tried to riot. They haven't tried to burn down anything. It was a few idiots, okay? Some person I talked to on Facebook tried to put out some other stuff, and is that 15.5 seconds? Oh, 15 seconds. Oh, okay. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. And I am RJ along with
Earl. Sparrow, we're going to have to get more than once a week, man. We got too much stuff to talk about. Elizabeth Loudon going off on the Bomber Girls. We got some stuff we need to address.
A lot of interesting topics out there. And guys, please email us or let us know on Facebook.
On Facebook, go on our page.
What you'd like to talk about. You're more than welcome to do it. We even fixed the mic situation because one of the listeners. This is Politico on CTV1. We'll see you next time.
See you next week.
You ever wanted to know what's going on in and around your community? CommunityTV1.com is your answer. Go ahead, log on to www.communitytv1.com and get your info on.
Crystal Joy Sound System Rentals and Professional Recording Studio is at your service. In association with Community TV One, the only community-based multimedia studio. Crystal Joy offers professional subs, main tops, monitors, power amps, professional mics, and a full soundproof multi-room studio specializing in Christian singers, groups, and bands. If you are talented and think you've got what it takes, we're looking for you to join our record label, Crystal Joy Records. For more information, contact 239-771-2560.